Delegates, I have pleasure in moving the international report on behalf of the Executive Council. And whilst the report covers two distinct issues, as Joe said, namely the work, the international work carried out by the Executive, and also the study visit. And here's one of the perpetrators that are keeping me up last night.
Sorry.
Yeah. You sit at the back, don't you, chair this morning? I really do want to deal, I think, most importantly, with the international work that's been carried out by the Executive. I would draw your attention in particular to the last line of paragraph 8.1, which concerns the access to international opportunities for affiliates, which is afforded to them by their membership of the GFTU. I've got to say I've had lots and lots of opportunities through my own union to visit other countries. Indeed, I spent some time in Israel with Mike Leahy, which I think was a really informative visit, and whichever side however you fall down on the Israeli or Palestinian side, I've got to say that we were purely there on behalf of trade unionists, and that's how I've always viewed any international visit. I've got to say, it's not often I heap praise on anyone, but I've got to say that since Doug Nichols has been leading the GFTU, I've got to say the work that he's done internationally has been absolutely fantastic. He's most certainly made sure that unions who don't get an opportunity of being involved internationally now do get that opportunity. We most certainly become a more internationalist body under Doug, and to the extent we're now on every single agenda, international work that we do is included. The only thing is, he's actually extended the length of the Executive Council meetings, so we go home when it's dark. We used to go home when it was light before Doug. Now it's dark, but I think it's absolutely fantastic, Doug, and I say it'll be the last time probably I'll praise you. Definitely the last time I've done international work. Absolutely fantastic. We want every union within the GFTU to feel part of the international trade union movement, and more importantly to know that the GFTU can be a conduit to that goal for every trade unionist within the GFTU. I'm sure everybody, first of all, would join me in congratulating Brother John Smith, the General Secretary of the Musicians Union, who's been re-elected to the presidency of the International Musicians Federation. And that's a fantastic thing, you know, when you think he's not just, I know John personally, he's not there just representing the Musicians Union, he's actually there representing the views of the GFTU, and fantastic. Without doubt we have the talent within this room for similar appointments in different industries, and I'm sure that the GFTU would help anybody who aspires to those levels, who wants to go forward. We will give all the background that we can. In the previous section of the report on project, the previous section in the report on the work that we do educationally within Europe. The work done by Judith and her team has been absolutely nothing short of remarkable. I will ensure the reputation of the GFTU goes from strength to strength. Projects on dispute resolution with partners in France, Bulgaria and Poland, they've really upped the street cred, if you like, of the GFTU to an extent where it's never been before. And the SNOV and SART projects dealing with older workers will, I'm sure, be a fantastic fill-up in the future. It will most certainly help people like myself and Mike Leahy. That's at the end of our career. We'll be enrolling in those courses. Yes, we've been rejected for certain projects, but as a partnership, our profile grows. The likelihood of future successes seems almost nailed on, reading and understanding what I do from the meetings. That in turn will create greater stability for our educational trust. So we won't be just dependent on raffles and auctions like we did last night. We're actually going to be pushing forward the projects, the international the Educational Trust does. Our partnership with Solidar will also reap benefits for the GFTU, as our involvement with other international education providers gives us access to other much needed projects. Besides Solidar, this executive has joined the Institute for Trade Union Rights and Union Solidarity International. I'm not sure whether they're here this morning, don't they? Yeah. Hiding, yeah. Fantastic work that they do. And I'm glad to say that my own union is affiliated to them and will be playing a really active part in that. The work that Union Solidarity International does, in particular in the likes of India and Bangladesh, and the relationships that we are building with UK sister unions will see that global trade unionism grow stronger. And that's something really we discussed yesterday in the procurement debate. It's something that we really want to do, and I believe organisations like Union Solidarity International can help us with that. Without doubt, closer cooperation will be needed as we deal with the problems of international procurement and the transfer of products across international borders. Our close ties with Latin America continue to flourish, and long may that continue. It goes beyond mutual trade union partnerships when we see firsthand the real meaning of oppression being meted out against for people who stand up for workers' rights. We really do think that we've got it bad here, but when you look at what's going on in the likes of Colombia, it is absolutely horrendous. And so those people who've been visiting, I know the President's been one of those, I applaud those. But I do say that only by visiting, understanding, reporting, and I say most importantly campaigning on these issues, can we bring about change in those countries. One of the most pleasing things we've done during the year is to host a youth conference, and the fact that we were able to bring youth delegates from Croatia and Finland shows the commitment that the GFTU has to young people, not just nationally but internationally. Once again, we're happy to welcome our international delegates from Vietnam, who incidentally are going to be visiting one of our factories this afternoon. Keep moving though, I've got to say keep moving, because we're so short of staff that you will probably be given a job on the end of a line and you will not like it. This room's hot, hotter in a bakery, believe me. Colleagues, I want to finish by briefly touching on the international study that took place last July. And I've got to say, I've got to thank the President for picking New York. I've never been to America in my life, and it afforded a great opportunity. But I think it's because there'll always be somebody who'll think that you're there in a jolly. It was absolutely fantastic example of how trade unionism works and how we swap ideas. We saw the whole spectrum of negotiating techniques and the whole range of attacks being meted out by right-wing employers. From the industrial muscle of the machinist union to the unique and extremely successful negotiating techniques of the hotel workers. We saw how the American unions survive under a democratic government that, I have to say in working terms, makes our government seem like some sort of lefty communist organisation. Obama, Democrat. Reality of the American government is something totally different when it comes down to working people. For me, the most enjoyable part of it was when we took part on a demonstration. And it was a demonstration where power workers had been locked out. And we're not talking about 1 or 2, 10 or 20, we're talking about 7,000, I think, employees had been locked out by their employer. And so we decided, and rightly so, and I'm so privileged to be part of that, being locked out, we took part on a demonstration. We got a banner made, advertising the fact that we were the GFTU, not just a slogan, to actually participate in what was going on over there. And we took part in television broadcasts, radio, we give interviews for the press. It was absolutely fantastic to know that we as British trade unionists could be helping support our comrades in America. And after the demonstration finished, Jonathan Ledger, Lynn and her husband and myself, we went on the picket line. And it was almost a throwback to the 70s and 80s when we actually got industrial muscle going. And it was fantastic to see so many people partaking. And even the police were quite nice with us. They didn't beat you or they didn't shove you back. We actually got on with the industrial strife that we had, and they allowed us to do it. But I say, they won it. The day after, they were back at work. Now, we can take some credit as a GFTU for that. I would think it's probably more down to the gods. The fact that there was a tornado the day after, which we were while we were there, and the scabs who were manning their places didn't know how to switch the electricity on once it got cut off. And so 7,000 people marched back with pride. They actually marched back into work. There was no cuts to their terms and conditions. Those people went back, held their heads up high. But what they did was what British trade unionists used to do years ago. It was absolutely amazing. I want to finish off by, we met with a number of trade unions, and my own trade union, we have a sister union called the BCTGM, I think it is. I'm looking at Joe Marino, I'm sure it's called that, in America, and we built up a report. Now, I've met the likes of David Durkee before, but we actually got into talks with them and understanding of how they were under attack. And lockout is a thing that happens in America. The more, the miles ahead of us employers as far as hitting out the trade unionists. And in America, they lock them out. You don't get the opportunity to go on strike. If you don't agree to what they want, they lock you out. And we talked about a dispute that happened with a company that makes Twinkies. I've heard of Twinkies, didn't really know what they were, but apparently it's a little cake bar. And they locked all these people out. We're talking about 30,000 people who were on strike. This is a union who did something we would never do. They actually loaned their pension money to keep this company afloat. Company always saying that they're going to go bankrupt, they couldn't afford to exist. And this was one of the pillars of Newt Gingrich's, or his background. This guy was an industrialist who looked for cheap labour wherever he could, and he was going to shut these factories down and take them over to Mexico because it'd be cheaper. And obviously we heard all this from the American trade union. It was absolutely terrible. The legacy of that was when we came back, that we got the blame for it. The Bakers Union in England actually got the blame for 30,000 people in America being on strike. And it started one Friday night. I was speaking at a rally in London, and I was sat there with our president, Ian Hudson, and emails started coming through. I get loads of emails a day, like I'm sure all of you do, but email after email after email after email. And they were all attacking us. They were calling us lefties, commies and all that, and what we'd done to Twinkies. And Twinkie was something that my mother used to dye her hair with. Never knew what they were on about, but we got the blame for it. Clearly, because we own the domain on the website Bakers Union, they just assumed that it was us. And after it was started off as banter, I've got to say, it really was banter, and you can see the relationship that we had with American trade unions. It started off as banter, where I would write back and say, look, what's the problem? Is Simon Cowell upset you on, America's Got Talent, all those sort of things. But once you've done it about like 300 or 400 times, it really does get so just leave it. Shows you the power of the anti-trade union movement in America. Our website takes about 800 hits a day. On the Friday when I was speaking to the meeting in London, we got 25,000 that actually crashed our website all at once. Sort of basically these rednecks from America who were hammering away on the stuff that we'd done, and we kept answering them. But I stopped when I got a wanted poster through the post, and it was saying that I was a communist and whatever, and that I should be sent to Guantanamo Bay. Now I love Cuba, I really do love Cuba, but Guantanamo Bay, I drew the line at. So all this has come about because of my international links with the GFTU. I've got to say that the opportunity was something that I would never ever get the opportunity of doing before. We do get exchanges with sister unions, but to meet such a wide variety of people and to understand exactly what goes on in America was fantastic. I want to finally say that, you know, that those unions, there are unions here or aren't part of the GFTU, think about what you get for your membership. And the international study is a major part of what goes on. It isn't about visits, it's not about, you know, going on jollies, and I'm sure that everybody who went on that study group to America would say it was never a jaunt. What it was an enlightenment experience that everybody will have come back better trade unionists from, and I'm sure, you know, we do. So please, if you're not part of the GFTU, I would say really consider what you can get out of this membership of the GFTU, both nationally and internationally. I have pleasure in moving the report on behalf of the executive.